pause the, and let me go back so I can make you host and we can just check that it's all working while everybody logs on. One moment for me, Peter.
All right, not a problem.
Okay, so I'm making you host. There we go. So you should have access then to the screen. And you can, I don't know, you can just check it, but there's still lots of people logging on at the moment. Are you well?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks.
Good, good, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you should be able to share your screen. Okay, good. There we go. It is working. Perfect. Okay, so we'll just we'll wait a few minutes because I see there's still quite a lot of people logging on. And then I will just come back to you in a minute then, Peter, that just when to start. That's okay?
All right, that's okay. Great.
Okay. Okay. Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our wonderful first training session for Uganda. I had the pleasure of going to Uganda this year, one of my favorite trips, all-time favorite destinations. So diverse, so much to offer, so much to see. The people are amazing, and the weather was great. So I think it's a really lovely destination that we can do. Obviously, it is quite pricey, but I think for bucket list, to do your bucket list tick, it's definitely worth it. We do have a package currently on our website, which would give you an idea and encapsulate the whole of Uganda. But you can also do, trips with Kenya. There's a lot of trips that you can do together. So if you were not wanting to do Uganda for so long, but for me, I definitely think you need a good 10 days in Uganda to be able to see it to its full potential, see the gorillas, see the chimps, see the falls, see the nature parks. There really is a lot to see. But of course, we've got the specialist on board today. Peter, you'll have to show us your face quickly. There we go.
Hi, everyone. Good morning and greetings from Uganda.
Yeah, so Peter's our specialist on the ground at Uganda Safari chapter, and he's obviously in that wonderful place and has experienced everything. He's got his colleagues there as well that are learning a lot about Uganda. So please do ask a lot of questions, and yeah, I'm going to hand over to you, Peter. So thank you for joining us.
Great. Thank you all. I see there's quite a number of people here. I want to show you my beautiful country. Although it's going to be online, I hope you'll appreciate it. I'll turn down my video so that we can share the screen properly. Right. I hope I'm audible.
You are audible, and then we can try. We're going to start with your video.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we can go. Let's try it. We did test yesterday, so it should work.
Yeah, sure.
Uganda. The Uganda we love. Uganda is a land of contrasts. In half a day, you can drive from the mist-shrouded volcanic mountains to the hot, hazy savanna, dappled with wildlife, serene undulating hills of tea plantations, lush but ordered, giving way to the tangled jungle, and rainforests with the musical accompaniments of chaotic, cacophonous bird life. It indeed presents Africa in one small place. It is amazing.
Right. I hope you liked it. It's a long one, 6 minutes, but it doesn't do a lot of justice to the country. And I hope that in the next slides, I'll be able to explain some of the things that you would like to know. Are we ready?
Yes, we all good. Thank you.
Right. The country called Uganda is a small East African country, very, very landlocked. But it's one of the most beautiful countries or regions that we have on the African continent and probably in the world. First, I would like to tell everybody that Uganda is accessible and accessed by at least 12 airlines. And you can only get to us through one international airport that's called Entebbe International Airport. So we've got Uganda Airlines, our very own, that's been flying, I think, 4 years now. And it flies to South Africa and flies to many other destinations. So connectivity between South Africa and Uganda is just a 4-hour flight. We've got Kenya Airways, I'm sure also flies to South Africa. South African Airways, Ethiopian, Qatar, KLM, Emirates, Brussels, Air Tanzania, Fly Dubai, Rwanda Air, and Saudi Air. There's many more that should be joining us very soon. I know that the BA also is planning a relaunch. So in terms of accessibility, you've got so many connecting flights. The long ones, probably from the Europe, being KLM, that would take you 8 to 9 hours. If you're coming from Kenya, is 1 hour, Rwanda is 1 hour. So it's pretty much a long haul flight for people outside the continent. But then again, if you're inside, it's a maximum of 4 hours. We also have lots of domestic flights for those that hate to drive long hours. So we've got charter flights and scheduled flights. Every day there's there's 2 flights going into all the national parks. So it makes access of the remote areas easy, and it makes those that want to fly around to cut short on time also very easy. So access and transportation is something that we've worked on to resolve any issues there. The other thing that we would like to talk about is the climate. I always want to tell people that Uganda is hot and wet all the year. So we would like to say that Uganda is a year-round destination. You can't visit at any time. But also, it also goes without mention that we get very busy during the summer, from mid-June to mid-September. At that time of the year, there's a lot of holiday makers coming from all over the world. So the parks and the tourist areas get very congested. It's that time of the year that you may want to avoid if you really are looking to have big space to yourself. Other than that, any time of the year you'll come. If you're looking to have a lot of space to yourself, you can come between October and mid-November, or come from March to May, or June, actually. So, and you know, when we have intense weather, it will be a heavy rainfall or a heavy downpour, but it's something that will take you less than an hour. Sometimes it gets flooded, but after 1 hour, the sun's back again, so you should be on your way again. Coming to the people, Uganda has, I think, the most friendly cultures in this continent, probably in the world. And they're very welcoming, so you not have any issues with how to adjust to culture. They're very, very hospitable. And I think, Angela, you'd attest to that. You'd be my confirmation.
100%.
Food. Yeah, sure. Thank you for that. And please feel free to stop me if there's any clarity you want as we run through the slides. If you come to this country, you'll be very assured of fresh food from garden to your plate. And that's what we're proud of, because the country is majorly agricultural. The soils are very fertile. So you'll have all the fruit, all the veggies, and all the carbs that you'd like, but you'll get them fresh on your plate. And then we come to things that we need to know as we visit. For tourism purposes, when we invoice, when you plan a trip into Uganda, we will invoice you in the base currency of the dollar, even though our local currency is the Uganda shilling. It's not an international currency, so we prefer to base our billings in the US. For those of us that are in the South African region, a dollar for us is equivalent to 19 South African rand. So as you work your numbers, that I thought that would be important to note. Talking about Safari chapter, we employ 15 staff. Half of that is female. The other half is management and driver guides. We specialize in English, but we occasionally get clients who want French, Spanish, Italian. We've got that covered, so we usually engage freelance foreign speaking guides to do that job for us. And we're currently doing very well on that. Our goals in this business, just to be brief, we prefer and like to be very credible. So what we do is we like to have memberships in all associations that matter, because it takes a lot to be a member of an organization. So we like our connections to be firm, and that's why we go out and seek partnerships with entities like Thompson's. We value long-standing relations, and we're very sensitive to bias of culture, ecology, environment. So we think that by doing that, we'll be cool. We'll be working with all sections of life, especially the conservation. We work very hard to give unparalleled experience and are very passionate to detail. We know all the nice lodges, all the campsites, we know all the good beds, we know the restaurants that serve the good food along our way to the parks and the tourist areas. We know where the dance troupes are. So we like to mix everything and choose the best for our clients. And of course, our respect for culture and conservation, that's what makes us different. We, for instance, right now, we don't encourage plastics on our vehicles. So you'll find that in your vehicle, you'll have a steel bottle where you can pour your water, and then the guide can take all the plastics and dispose them off responsibly. We have a mission now, and when we take our clients around the country, we have emphasis on each client plant a tree. So we'll get to some areas that are being deforested. We get out of the car and plant a tree and name it and create some fun around it, but also we continue to go and look after it. We're also very keen on the environment. We encourage most of our clients to be on the road rather than fly, but of course that remains the choice of the client. But we want to minimize on pollution of the environment. So we're moving close to sustainability, and that's what we want to promote as we take our clients out. So briefly, that's about us. We've got a 15-year working experience in this industry. We many times service Rwanda and Kenya and Tanzania, because a lot of our clients are having add-on safaris, and that's what we're proud to do. So our coverage is growing and expanding into different regions. But our offices are firmly based in Entebbe, just only about 5 minutes from the airport. So we're really very stable in this area. And that's why we say that our mission in Uganda is to understand why Uganda is as it is, why it exists as the Pearl of Africa, and we work to develop the vision of our travelers and clients with outstanding safari services. We also look at their needs and their wishes and incorporate them in all our tours. And that's what we tend to do by engaging the clients from the time of inquiry to the time they get onto our airport. So coming to the uniqueness of Uganda on the tourism perspective, I always tell our clients that Uganda is one area that you can see the whole of Africa. Uganda has everything that you want to see in Africa. If you're looking for the desert, northeastern part of the country is really desert area. If you're looking for ice on the mountain Rwenzori, which is the second highest in Africa, has a lot of ice, and people enjoy climbing it. If you're looking for waterfalls and you really want to see a big thunder, the River Nile in Maxon Falls thunders about 60 meters down through a little gorge. That would substitute for other waterfalls in this continent. If you're looking for farmland, if you're looking for beaches, white sand beaches, we've got all of that despite being a small country. So you can spend 21 days in Uganda and not want to go anywhere else in the continent because you'll have seen everything. We might not have all the numbers, but there we go, we've got everything. And on top of that, we've got the mountain gorillas, we've got the chimpanzees. So that's a day-to-day experience that a lot of our people come for. And that's what we're proud of. About 600 gorillas are left in the world. And 3/4 of that lives in Uganda. So the experience and the conservation effort that we're doing on this front is one that has become a bucket list item for most of our people. Now, Uganda has 10 national parks and 12 game reserves. So in all these parks, you'll find, in Bwindi is where you find the mountain gorilla. That's where most of our clients finish their safari. But in the north, you have Kidepo National Park, which was voted as the second best national park by CNN about 4 years ago. We've got the Kibale Forest where the chimpanzee lives. And the other parks now have all the big five. Now, unfortunately, the rhino in Uganda lives in a sanctuary. So we don't have it in a national park. And that's the only difference that causes. But then you have the chance to meet the rhino in its home, but then you're doing conservation. The other big four are found in all the national parks. So that's the very uniqueness that we have. And you'll find that in half a day, you can experience cloudy volcanic peaks. You can experience deserts with shimmering heat. You can hike on a hilly tea plantation or on the edge of a wild jungle with diverse fauna. And you'll find free living gorillas, chimpanzees. It's a bird haven for the birders. We've got a lot of water life and endless white beaches on the Lake Victoria. So we look for comfort even while you're having your feet dirty. And that's what Uganda is known for. So we're also famous for farm tours, working farm tours, where we'll take you to a tea plantation and you experience how it's planted, how the ladies pick the tea, how they look after it, how it's dried, and then you have the chance to boil it and make a cup of tea in probably a space of 4 hours. So we take you through that farm tour and from the farm to your cup. Same for the Ankole cattle. These cattle that you see there with long horns, they're only found here. And a lot of our tourists enjoy going to milk them and make a cup of tea from that. And you see how we had them. And ours is usually free range, so you have that chance to find these cows on the road or in a paddock, but not being looked after like the Frisians. And that's an experience that everyone would like to go through. So if you look at this map, the areas in orange are the national parks. And this is the Kidepo up here in northeast corner. This one, we share a border with Sudan, and it has migrations. So when it's raining in Uganda, because it's hilly, the animals will migrate to Sudan because it's always hot there. And when it starts to rain there and there's no water, they'll come back. So in that park, which everyone must visit, you'll find herds of 1,000 buffaloes, you'll find herds of 1,000 elephants, all in one group, and it's such a big site. And right here in the center, you've got the Murchison Falls, where the River Nile flows and thunders into a 60-meter waterfall, and with all the animals that you want to see except the rhino. So this is our largest park, and it's a must visit. This one is about 5 hours drive from Entebbe and 50 minutes flight, so whichever you choose. And then we have the Kibale Forest, where the chimpanzees stay. You've got Queen Elizabeth and the mountain Rwenzori. And then you come down to Bwindi, where everybody wants to come. So a good trip, a very fair trip in Uganda would start at Entebbe, go through the chimpanzee, the rhino sanctuary about here in the middle, and then run to Murchison, spend 2 nights. Then you'll come to Hoima. Hoima has nice forests, bird life, and nature walks. So we tend to break the journey between Murchison to Kibale. When you get to Hoima for a night, you go through a lot of bird life and nature walks, which soothes you. And then you come through to Kibale, see the chimpanzees, and then run through Queen Elizabeth for 3 nights. This park has one section that has tree climbing lions. So if you fancy to see a lion up in a tree, that's one thing you must not miss. And then you've got a boat ride in the Kazinga Channel that connects Lake Edward and Lake George with a lot of fauna and water life. So yeah, 3 nights does it well. And then we go into Bwindi. Bwindi is a place where you need to spend 2 nights because the gorillas, you can only access them from 7 a.m. and you don't know when you'll come back. Some clients are lucky based on where the gorillas will have spent a night. You can take 1 hour or you can take 7 hours. So we don't really guarantee that it's going to be this amount of time. But when you get to them, you'll be with them and take photos and feel them for 1 hour maximum. And then you'll be on your way back. So the gorilla is about 9,000 feet above sea level, high in the mountain. That exercise is a trekking activity. So you're achieving 2 things. You're doing a forest trek, and you're also seeing the gorillas. And then after 2 nights in Bwindi, we can choose to come to Lake Mburo, or we can choose to go to Lake Bunyonyi, which we call the Switzerland of Africa, or we can come back to Entebbe, and in Entebbe on our last night, the last day, we can go into Lake Victoria and see the rare shoebill, that bird that they call the shoebill, something that most of the clients do at the end of safari, and then the next day we're out. And that's really an ideal 10-day or 11-day stay that we would recommend. Otherwise, if you want to do the entire country and go through all the corners, you may want to consider 21 days or even 30. If you're, however, looking to just jump in and see the gorillas, that we advise is 2 nights and 3 days. So that's the shortest really you can be in the country. Now, I mentioned the gorillas, how there's only 600 left in the world, and more than half of that is in Uganda. So it's something that everybody wants to come and see. We take part in that, but also the other activity in Bwindi is the Batwa, the Batwa community. These are the shortest people in this land. And some of them still live up in the trees. They build their tree houses. So really a visit to this community to support them, to see how they live and learn their way of life, and also to buy the artifacts is another activity we do after visiting the gorillas. And also to watch them dance. They've got very nice dances. The chimpanzees we're talking about are found in 3 parks in Uganda. There's one in Makison in the Budongo forest. There's one in Kibale, and there's one in Chambura Gorge in Queen Elizabeth. Now, these guys have about 98% of our DNA, so they are closest relatives. Very cheeky animals there, but it's a playful thing when you go to visit them. On the adventure side, we've got the younger ones that like to do adventure things. Mountain Rwenzori, which I said is the second highest Africa, only second to Kilimanjaro, is a very, you could plan 12-day hiking, or you can even plan 1 day or 2 days, depending on the time that you have. But if you conquer that summit, the highest summit, it's something that many people have come and done, and it leaves a lot of memories. And of course, there's a lot of ice at the top, so it gives you that experience. On the River Nile, we all know the River Nile starts in Jinja, and from that point on, there's a lot of rafting, whitewater rafting, up to grade 5. So those that fancy a dip in the Nile, or a flip in the Nile, the rafting on the River Nile in Jinja is a very good thing. Normally it takes 1 day, but you can also do half day. This is not a week-long activity. We've got bungee jumping. For those that are doing team building, we can offer quad biking in Jinja or in the national parks, and also horseback riding. Yeah, now also on our Lake Victoria, we've got one particular island on the Kalangala side that's got very nice, clean white sand beaches. The water transport has been improved immensely. We've got vessels such as those that you can see. I think there's about 6 vessels that fly that lake every day. So transport there is not a problem. And takes about 3 hours by lake, or you can go around by road and take a 30 minutes boat ride. A lot of fishing on that side. You can swim on the equator through the lake, and you have that experience. So that would speak to those that like white sand beaches and beach life. A lot of people come and do weddings on there, and it's such a great experience. So yeah, I've spoken a bit about the country, and now I'd like to talk about the trip that we're currently running with you at Thompson's. And this is an 11-day tour. This 11-day tour is just about what I showed, but probably I'll speak about where we go in this tour. On arrival on day 1, usually we plan that clients will arrive in the evening or early night hours, so we don't plan any activity on that day. But yeah, we'll meet and greet you at the airport, especially, and transfer to your hotel. Depending on your time of arrival, we've planned for bed and breakfast. This is a little beach hotel. It's about 10 minutes from the airport. So if you've had a long flight, there's nothing that will make you tired. It's we always say it's a home away from home, and it's cozy. It's at the beach, and the restaurant is at the beach. So you kind of get that soothing feeling when you get there. Then on day 2, about 7 a.m., After your early breakfast, we drive through, going to the northern side, use our expressway, so no traffic there. About 2.5 hours, we'll stop at the Rhino Sanctuary, visit the rhino and stretch, have a break, and probably have lunch there. And then we're on our way to Maxon Falls. As we head to Maxon Falls, we'll stop at the top of the falls and have a hike around the top of the falls, of the Maxon Falls. That's a must-see because of the way the water thunders through a 2-meter wide opening and then falls into a 60-meter. Then after that, we'll go into our lodge. We'll have an evening game drive. Maxon Falls is the biggest, so you cannot cover it in one drive. But the next day, we'll have another morning game drive, see a lot of the big four, except the rhino. And then in the afternoon, we take a boat cruise to the bottom of the falls. And you can imagine your boat parking and you're right under the falls with all the mist and all the excitement. So that's the highlight of that day. And you can see that's the hotel in Entebbe. That's cozy. And in Maxon Falls, you'll stay at that lodge that's called Pakuba Safari Lodge. Right in the middle of the park where our former president Amin had put his state house. So it's a conversion of the government state house or president's state house into a lodge with a lot of history. And then on day 3, we'll go into Hoima. There's a big forest there that has a lot of bird life. And we do our nature walk. So you can imagine you're coming from a hot area or a sunny area in Murchison, and you're going into green forest for nature walks and to look at birds and to see the community life. So that gives it a cooling effect. Just one night there. And then on the 4th night, you're driving into Queen Elizabeth National Park. We stay at the Twin Lakes Lodge. This lodge is seated in the middle of twin lakes, one lake on the side and another on the other side. And these are crater lakes. So the experience there, and you're overlooking the national park. And then in the evening, you might want to just sit by the lake or take a community walk. That gives a good experience, and then we do our game drives. On the next day, we'll spend the next 2 nights in the Shasha area. This is the part of the Queen Elizabeth National Park where you find the tree climbing lions, but also all the other game. So the highlight of this section is the lions in the tree. You will not see them every day. So it's that's the beauty, that you've got to go sort of hunting for them to make sure that you can see them up in the tree. They are fed. They will not be dangerous. Our vehicles go right under the tree, and we can see everything they're doing. Only if they want to ease themselves, they can just do it on your car. But that's the fun of it. And then we'll also do in the afternoon, we'll go to the Kazinga Channel, take that boat ride. It's a 2-hour ride that connects 2 lakes. And this other lake is close to the Congo border. So we'll see a lot of animal life that's coming to use that. And then after that, we go to our 3rd last night in the gorilla area, which I said is about 9,000 feet above sea level. That's the place we'll be staying at. And then on the next day, we do the gorilla trek, see the gorillas, visit the communities, watch how they dance, see their houses and all of that. And then after that, we're on our way back into Entebbe on the 10th night. So Entebbe, we'll go back to our 2 friends' hotel. And then after that, the next day, we'll go and see the Shoebill by boat, have lunch in Entebbe, and in the evening, or whatever time your international flight is, we'll put you back at the airport and say Kwaheri. So ladies and gentlemen, that's a brief about what we would offer on that trip. And I hope that I've done justice to excite you about Uganda. At this point, Angela, I'll welcome remarks and questions. Thank you.
So thank you, Peter. I think the video encapsulated a lot of the country and you've gone through it in great detail. For me, I wanted to maybe just ask you to explain a little bit about the gorillas. It's so well controlled, how, you know, with the permits and how many people go. It really is a wonderful experience, both with the chimps and the gorillas. So maybe you can just speak a little bit about that. If you want, because you have no problem getting the permits from what I understand, because there's many different areas you can see the gorillas.
Yeah, sure, certainly. Now, our gorillas live in families, just like human beings. And so each family is only allowed 8 visitors in a day. Of course, it will be 8 tourists and your guides and the rangers of the forest who will find out where that family spent the night. So we've got about 24 families spread across the park. So that's how many times 8 is how many people can be able to visit them. Now, also on these gorillas, there are those that are in very steep places. So we encourage people who are fit. When you want to come see the gorillas, you have to tell us if you like the fit ones, or if you're weak, elderly, we'll take you to the ones that are in the lowland areas. So that's one thing to know. But also the permits in the steep side are more accessible because not many people want to take many hours trekking that. But each family must be visited by a maximum of 8 people. So if your group has more than 8, and we're lucky to get all the 8, then we'll split you into different areas. There's also a condition for trekking the gorillas. You will not be sick. If you're sick, you might easily move your diseases to the gorillas. So we make sure that we take healthy people. The other condition is that you must be 15 years and above. So if you're under 15, you're not allowed to go to the gorillas. This area is very controlled. You must have a gorilla permit purchased and paid for before your arrival. Usually we must have them paid for fully at least 60 days before you arrive. If there's space and you're late, but there's space, yes, they'll allow, but there's that restriction and we must pay that. In terms of costs, if you're not East African, you have to pay $700 up front, and that's the ticket and it was everything. If you, however, feel you're weak and you'd like the services of porters, that comes at an extra fee. So those we can arrange on site. These guys can carry you, or they can carry your bags that you'll have gone with. When you're with the gorillas, we don't encourage cameras that have flashes. So you need to be very careful with that so that you don't make them angry. They can fight if they're angry. They're like human beings. But otherwise, when you meet them and your scammers there, they'll come and stay near you. They can scratch your toes. They'll do everything, but you're safe because they've been habituated. Now, there's also another group that is being studied, that is being habituated. That one allows 4 people only every day. And with that, you will spend 2 hours or more, and you pay a bit more. I think that you pay $1,500 so that you go and participate in the habituation of the gorilla. Once that family is fully habituated, they'll move it out of that region so that we can get another group that can be habituated to come into this whole thing. Now, the gorilla experience, as I said, is 1 hour. Once you get to them, you take 1 hour with them, do everything you like, and you'll be monitored and protected, and then you'll come back. If you want more time, we've got to ask for that, and we'll be given special permission. Is there anything I haven't said about the gorillas?
No, that's fantastic. Thank you. So
Welcome.
does anybody else have any questions while Peter's online? No, it looks like you covered it all. For me, the roads were really good. Food were really good. The people were great. Yep.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
What happens if you don't see them? Just a question. If you don't see the gorillas in 2 days, then is that too bad?
Well, there's 95% chance that you see the gorillas. You'll always see them, but it's not a guarantee on how long it will take you to see them. What
Yeah.
happens is that the rangers go ahead of us to find out where that family that you've been allocated is. And then along your way, they'll be communicating to the guides that you have to tell them which route to take and where to find them when they're either feeding or they're now relaxed for a break. So you'll always see them. That's a given. You always see them.
Thank you.
Was there another question? I heard somebody else wanting to ask something.
Yes. Another one.
Okay.
How close do you get to the chimpanzees? Because are they more dangerous than the gorillas?
Well, the chimpanzees are very cheeky and very playful. They'll come as close as they can to you. Sometimes they'll come and stand in between their legs and turn around and wiggle. They're like babies, really. So yes, they get very close, and after that they'll jump up high into the tree and do their gymnastics. So it's like a show when you get to the chimpanzees, and a really exciting experience. They're not dangerous. They will not come to fight you. Even if you touch its tail, it would be like a cat. It will be very responsive unless you harm it. Yeah, we've not had that experience.
Is that also quite a long trek to them?
No, in fact, for the chimpanzees, we're not limited on how many people can go to see those families. And also there's the morning trek and afternoon trek. So the chimpanzee one is very flexible and there's no restriction. It's just still you have to have paid for the ticket early enough so that you get your space. But yeah, that's a very flexible activity to do. And it's also not as pricey to see. It goes for $200 per person. But yeah, it's an experience that you can schedule either in the morning or in the afternoon, unlike the gorillas, which is only and always at 7 a.m.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Peter. Anybody else got anything else? No. Okay, good. Well, you can sell with absolute confidence. And if there's any questions, I'm always around. And otherwise, we've got Peter on the ground. So please sell. And thank you, everybody, for joining. And thank you, Peter. We appreciate you doing this wonderful training session with us today.
Welcome.
Thank you, everybody. See you.
Thank you.
Thank
Peter.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay, we'll chat soon.
All right, bye.
Bye.